y'all, thanks for stopping by our channel, where our McGregor 26X takes us and our pups to exciting places on land and sea. We island hop, comb beaches, explore above and below the surface, and we love to sail. We're also taking on the refit of our Heavenly Twins catamaran. We're a hard-working, bikini-wearing, easygoing, and lighthearted channel with sailing and lots of other fun. So if your goal is to relax and enjoy life, then welcome aboard. Thank you to our YouTube subscribers, and check out the link below at vimeo.com/sailing and fun, where we have extended videos with deleted scenes and uncensored content. And you can find us at patreon.com. Previously on Sailing and Fun, we had to haul out the Mac due to some motor issues.
We're going to find out together if this change worked. It's not looking good.
After we tried some simple fixes, the captain found it was the power pack.
I don't believe it.
We replaced it.
I'm afraid to turn it off.
And we got back on the water.
The last thing that it could be seems to have worked. We are back on track.
Made the simple task of raising the main difficult, but once we finally got it up, we had a smooth day of sailing. Went in search of a sandbar so we could chill and have some fun.
What you got? There it is. You got it.
Spent time hanging out with the pups. And for no other reason than to have fun, did some dancing. With quite a few boats narrowing our exit, the captain decided to manually turn the boat around today. Meanwhile, I just did some on-land snorkeling right around the boat, and I got to see parrots and some huge tarpon. Cruising the bayside in search of a bridge that we can duck under. There are a few that we can do so with the mast up, but we found one this morning and we're headed over to Alligator Reef. We decided once again to put the motor to good use and try to get out to the reef super early, which we did, and fortunately there was nobody there. We were able to explore just the two of us around the lighthouse, and the water was calm, which is not always a given in this area. The reef is not very tall, so it doesn't break down the waves that much. But once again, we were lucky and super excited. popular, so we knew it wouldn't be long until lots of boats started to show up.
Where are we again?
Alligator Lighthouse Reef, or Lighthouse, or Reef Lighthouse?
Alligator Reef Lighthouse. You got it. We're here to study the, I think it's called plume of jellyfish. Technically they're a plant, right? Form of plankton. Moon jellyfish.
Technically they're a plant, is that what you just said?
Yeah.
No,
Plankton?
they're an animal but without a brain. Kind of like you right now.
Cut.
In the captain's defense, jellyfish are housed under the group plankton, but it's zooplankton, not phytoplankton like most of us are familiar with, which are in fact plants. With the dive flag in place, it's time to get in. And I climbed this platform that's close to the lighthouse previously. It did have a ladder. It had fallen off, but I was still determined to climb up here because it's a lot of fun. Last time there were about 10 people up here. This time it was just me, and it's really fun to jump off of. But I will say that there's a sign on the lighthouse itself. I couldn't read it from afar, but I'm sure it's restricting you from climbing up there, even though when we were here previously, we saw some like pre-teenage boys climb all the way to the top. So make sure you find out the rules before you do it yourself.
Wow.
Though, be very careful. There is fire coral and other barnacles that can hurt you. I got overzealous and swam after a couple of nurse sharks and didn't pay attention, extended my arm too far, and I hit it with my hand and my fingers, and it was truly terrible pain. Lasted quite a while, and for weeks after, my fingers were swollen up. In some places in the Keys, the current is crazy, so it's not a bad idea to wear your life vest, but the captain has gotten some flack about it. People saying you're snorkeling with your life vest on, but he actually does it for me. A lot of times I get tired and I grab onto him and float, and they also make awesome chairs. Just sit in them for hours in the water, and then his is big enough for me to use as a raft. Smile big. Show me teeth. Well, Mac maintenance is on the agenda. We are focused on the catamaran most of the time when we're doing work-related things, and we just want to use a McGregor for fun, but she needs a lot of help right now.
What are you fixing to do?
Scrape it down. Scrape it down first because we do have some big flecks that are starting to come off. And then I'm going to use this little skill saw here, which you think isn't heavy, but this has got to be like...
Well, it's light for a skill saw.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know where my little mouse is. I had a little mouse that was not as heavy as this. This is kind of, I don't know. I feel tired already. But I'm going to be sanding.
Pump it up. Can't even tell who you are. Raise your hand if you're Admiral T.
Today I am sanding down the entire boat, and tomorrow hopefully I will be painting. Here I've got the rub rail. Kind of looks like a mess right now, but it was separating a little from the boat. Not coming off completely, but we couldn't connect it back, tighten it back all the way. So what I did was I actually used a ton of caulk and sealed it in here, and then I painted over the top of it. And this has been like 2 or 3 years ago that I did that, and the boat is always in the elements, so it really has held up. It's just starting to break down now, and although the caulking is fine, it's just the top of the paint. So I'm going around right now and just scraping it down a bit with a scraper, and then I will go back and start the sanding. The sander it's small, but it's still kind of heavy, so it's better if I just get out the bigger flakes with this sponge and a little scraper here before I have to run around with the big sander.
My original plan was just to sand down the areas that needed touch up. We used oil-based paint, and like I said, it's lasted for quite a while, but as I went around the boat I decided there was more and more that needed to be done. So I just continued sanding the entire boat except for the places under the rub rail where the captain was going to use acetone and then wax down. I used 120 grit on some places, but most of the time I was using 220.
So I am trying to fix the sander here. What am I doing? The captain, as awesome as he is, sometimes he's kind of he gets overly manly and just rips things apart. Instead of pushing a little button here, he just ripped the whole front of the kind of pad off, and now we can't get it to stay on. So worked for the first part of the sanding, but it's not staying, so I'm going to do some jerry-rigging myself.
We got about 10 more minutes out of this before it gave up the ghost, but luckily we had other attachments, so we were able to connect them and keep working. We removed the hatch for easier sanding and painting, but the captain did not want to remove the rudders, so I just sanded them and painted them in place. I went around and hand sanded the tighter areas. And then I painted. And usually I would say prep is the most important part. You want your top coat, your finish to come out as well as it can. So we decided to use a primer this time. I would say forego that step. The fumes were awful. It was very thick. It dried too quickly, and the finished result was not as good as when I just used an oil-based paint on the original finish of the fiberglass. Your circumstances may be different, but for us in this application, applying 2 coats of the oil-based paint would have been much better than applying this hard-to-work-with primer.